So, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, our final speaker is not present. I'm not sure where he is, but I did say that I was going to be faithful to a particular timeline. Might go 5 minutes over it, but not more than that. I want to reiterate my thanks to Rosita Panini, the co-founder of the Miriam Institute, to Richard Offenbacher, our team member here, and to everybody who brought this evening about, of course, to our speakers. Thank you so very much to Brett Stevens, to Doron, and to all of you for giving your time and your attention to this subject. It certainly warranted your time and attention. And of course, none of this would have been possible without Dan Bartfeld. Thank you so very much, Dan. People should give Dan a round of applause for bringing this to fruition. Just a couple of final thoughts. First of all, I hate fundraising. I'm not a fundraiser, but I am here appealing for funds. You've heard about causes that require your financial investment. It will go to the things that all of us take for granted. Amir Tibon is living on a mattress with his family in Kibbutz Mishmar HaEmek in northern Israel. He was not able to dial in early for a sound test because he's surrounded by other families who are living on mattresses in that same kibbutz. Doron's life has been torn asunder completely by way of the horrors that were wrought against us on October the 7th. And when we ask you to give more, to invest more so that we can help the civilians and the soldiers of the state of Israel, Doron is not an individual who comes to collect funds habitually. This is something into which he's been forced by way of horrific circumstances. So I'm asking all of you, please, all of you paid the $180 to come here today. We're very grateful for that. You know where the funding is going. It's going to the soldiers and the citizens of the state of Israel. But you can do more and you should do more. And I'm appealing to you, please, to do more and not to walk out of here and leave me picking up all of these donation cards afterwards. Please. It's against my nature to make such a direct appeal. But all of us have been found dealing with circumstances that we never thought we would have to face. The last couple of quick points that I want to say is that the October the 7th massacre was the worst horror wrought against the Jewish people since the events of the Holocaust, but it certainly is not a Holocaust because the Jews are not the same Jews. The Jews will fight back. The Jews will prevail. The state of Israel will rise again, and the members of the Israel Defense Forces, I believe, have gone from something of a whimper to letting their roar be heard. They are currently encircling Gaza City, and I have total faith, having made those similar walks when I wore a uniform of the Israel Defense Forces as a combat soldier. I have total faith in their ability to push this through until victory. And I also call upon each and every one of you not to at any point tire from the work of letting your legislators, your elected officials, your public servants know of the importance that you assign to their continued support to the state of Israel, the people of Israel, and the soldiers of the state of Israel for as long as it takes until we get this job done. Hamas is a movement, is a terror organization, is a group of people that must be vanquished from the face of the earth. Nothing less than that. And all of you should be supported in those efforts by way of pulling on the levers of power right here in the United States, unrelentingly, until victory comes about. I also want to say one last thing about the soldiers, and then we will conclude. And by the way, there's coffee and cake and a dessert reception, and I look forward to meeting as many of you as possible informally afterwards, as does Doron. I have an older brother who nearly died as the result of an anti-Semitic attack. In 2020, he had to undergo a 4th liver transplant, and he wasn't finding a liver, and his anesthesiologist called me to tell me that he was in multiple organ failure. He told me that his lungs were failing, he was in kidney failure, he was one step away from heart failure, and some people in this room have heard this conversation, and therefore I would be wise to let him go, to stop pressing his medical team to assign medical treatment to him. This was just in 2020. And then that anesthesiologist said something to me that I think is apposite to this evening. He said to me, now, he might recover from the lung failure and he might improve from the status of kidney failure. And that was new to me. I'd never heard of such a thing. I actually thought, maybe some of you in this room thought the same thing, but I actually thought that when one reaches organ failure, that is the end. The organs don't recover, but actually there's a distinction between an acute failure and a chronic failure. And what I learned from that was failure doesn't have to be fatal. You've heard our speaker, Doron and Amir, speak about the failure of the Israel Defense Establishment. But failure doesn't have to be fatal. We're not seeing the death knell of the state of Israel here. We're not seeing the end of the Jewish state. We're not seeing the conclusion and the ending of the Zionist dream. We're actually about to see the Jewish people, in my opinion, move into their finest hour. And I believe that it will be summed up in the Talmudic phrase that we learn, which states, "Bamakom she'en anashim, ishtadel lihyot ish." In a place where there is no humanity, strive to be human. What befell Doron and his family has shown that Gaza Strip is a place where there is no humanity. And yet into that very place move forward our soldiers, who are our citizens, who are our sons and our daughters, mothers, fathers, brothers, and sisters. And they will be accused of being war criminals. And by the way, mark my words, when the international legal community comes to prosecute them, they won't lay a glove on our soldiers, because the allegations will be proven false and baseless. They're not war criminals, our soldiers. They're angels. Each and every one of them is an angel, marching where humans dare not tread. And they're worthy of your support. And the last thing I tell you is something deeply personal to me. When that anesthesiologist was on the phone to me, as my brother couldn't get an organ and couldn't get transplants and was in multiple organ failure, my brother was in the room. And I could hear him croaking in the background. You know, there's an expression, a colloquial expression, a slang expression, somebody croaks. A person who's about to expire actually croaks. They emit a croaking sound. The soldiers of the Israel Defense Forces, the people of the Israel Defense Forces, they're not croaking. What you're witnessing is the roar of the Lion of Judah. And you can put your faith in it, and you can support it, and you can invest in it. Because I can assure you, with sufficient determination, a little bit of hope, prayer, and the help of God, we will bring humanity to that place. And in time, not immediately, but in time, we will realize our most sincere prayer of knowing Shalom al Yisrael, peace over Israel, Israel the country, and Israel the people, including over you people right here in this Jewish community of Manhattan, New York. Don't be frightened. Be certain we're about to step into our greatest moment as a people. Thank you, and we're adjourned.